received two big dogs of the competition going head-to-head, which should be a fantastic game in VOC and Findorff.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that that's one that we are all particularly excited about, because right from the start of the competition, it has been a match that I've been particularly looking forward to. They're the two favourites, and they are in the same pool, which creates a bit of intrigue. Always interesting to see how that pans out. Of course, it means they won't meet in the semi-finals, but then potentially could meet in that final at 5:30 p.m. Central European time on Wednesday, the 31st of July. So let's go into the coin toss. Havashi is pitch side.
All right, I'm at the pitch for the toss, and to my left are the two captains and the match referee. I've got Rashid Mohammed from St. Petersburg, and I have Iftikhar Khan from Findorff, Germany, and of course I have the match referee as well. You guys are ready for the toss? Yeah. Okay. So it's your call.
Yeah, head.
It's a tail. Okay, so you win. What do you decide?
You want to bat first.
You want to bat first. Of course, yesterday you just got to play one game.
That we played over here. We didn't have any introduction with the pitch, with the ground.
Yeah.
As we play in Moscow, it's not AstroTurf, but it's the semi-AstroTurf. Yeah. And it's a big difference to play over here or in Moscow or in St. Petersburg. But I think we'll go play better today. I think so. Okay. Inshallah.
What kind of a conversation did you have with your players after the game yesterday?
Nothing. I just told them, play your game. As we played in Moscow, in Russia, just play your game, your national game. Yeah. Nothing more. I don't want nothing more.
And did you watch Findorff play yesterday as well? Did you watch that game?
Yeah, I just watched the videos, but they are the very hot, tough teams. Yeah. They are the...
Travis, can you hear me? Travis,
yeah, it's me. I can't say nothing, but they are very...
It's a good team to have. Okay, so let's just repeat again. So you won the toss and you decided to...
decided to play first.
To
bat first.
Okay. All right. And can I just invite you over? Is the decision in your favor? Would you have decided to bowl first?
Exactly, yeah. Actually, that was our plan today. We learned a lesson from yesterday. Yeah. So we talked about with the team. So we decided that was the plan to make a ball first.
You think it's better to have a target and then chase it down?
Exactly. That's sunny weather. Today the pitch is a bit fresh. So we can ball and we can take a swing, we can take advantage, and we can ball them out earlier, within 100.
And of course, yesterday you were the last game to be played, and that makes a big difference. And now you're pretty early in the morning. So do you think conditions make a big difference?
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. That's a point we discussed. So early morning today we have this third match, so we can take advantage of the pitch. So we can take the swing. We have a good swing bowler. So hopefully we will do it today better.
Okay. Well, I wish you all the very best. Thank you very much. Okay, so that's the news from the pitch. St. Petersburg has won the toss and elected to bat first.
So thanks to Havashi for confirming that. Rashid Mohammed winning the toss and electing to bat for the St. Petersburg Lions. This is how they line up. Just the one game for them so far in this competition. Of course, 3 games for each of the teams spread over 2 days. They were comprehensively beaten by the Catalonia Tigers yesterday by 66 runs. It was a bit of a mauling, if you want to use a Tiger pun, which you're a fan of.
Oh, it started already.
A fan of the puns, Ryan Campbell. But more importantly, in the context of this competition, this is a proper must-win for both of these teams. And as I lined up before, it's not just a must-win, but a must-win comfortably to realistically stay in contention.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we look at the SG Findorff lineup, the German side, to be honest, I was actually pretty keen on them at the start of the tournament. I felt with a couple of former Afghanistani international players that they were going to be a real side to be up there in the reckoning. And I think today we're going to see just will that quality come to the surface, so to speak. So, look, I think it's going to be a pretty good game. Obviously, the advantage, I believe, the favourites for this one is probably going to be the German side. But of course, it's 10 over cricket, anything can happen, and we're looking forward to seeing exactly that.
If one guy gets in and goes well, then it all changes for either team. because it is such a short format. So there's SG Findorff nicely kitted out in their light green and deep blue, navy blue.
You love your colours, huh? By the way, I hope this webcam's working today. Look at us, we're matching. We've got grey shorts on, we've got blue. You obviously got the memo to match me instead of just rocking up and nothing.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And I've heard from sources that we may well have commentary cam back up and in operation, so we may well be heading up it.
Did you, be honest, did you wake up this morning and think, oh my God, I've got to spend another day with me?
No comment. Let's focus on the cricket. Or let's try and focus on the cricket. But we will be getting up it, and I think what would be nice to do as well, which we may well do at some point, is for those maybe newer to cricket, we can talk them through some of the stuff about, got a kookaburra ball up here, about stuff like swing, which maybe allows us to give a bit of an insight. You've been a wicket-keeper to some fairly half-decent bowlers once upon a time.
Yeah, well,
seen how they do it.
I've had to be stuck behind them chasing what they bowl, but yeah, of course, let's get some stuff done. Look, left-arm bowler to start the innings off. It'll be interesting. It was quite noticeable yesterday when we started early, the 9 o'clock match in particular. There was a lot of movement early with the dewy conditions, and look, it's a perfect day here in Manga. There's no breezes yet, but with these new kookaburra balls, the regulations, they do tend to swing a little bit early, so it may only be 1 or 2 overs, but those 1 or 2 overs, if you can strike, it automatically puts the batting side on the back foot.
But you wonder whether even by now, because of the sun, the early morning sun, that dew looks to have disappeared almost entirely off the ground. It really might be one of those that it only applies to that first game, which is a 9 a.m. local time start, Central European time. We've got the bowling coming from our end of the ground, the Las Acacias end. And bowling from left arm over the wicket will be Hamad Warak, key part of the side that won the Bundesliga last season to get them here. 19 wickets at an average of 18, an economy rate of just above a run a ball, all in T20 cricket though, and that's the beauty of this competition. All these players have had success in their region, and now it's about bringing it to the ECL and seeing what we get. It'll be Hamad Warak with the first ball of the match. Bowling to Rinku Singh. And a good start for the Germans in match 2.
Let's have a little look, maybe if we can have a replay of that first ball, just to see if there was any movement at all. Bowling across the right-hander. Let's have a little look here. What's the scene? Bolt upright, trying to swing it away from the right-hander, not the traditional left-armer's swing.
Perfect line and length, just inside the tram lines. Finds the edge of Rinku Singh's bat. Scurries down the other end, and based on that first 2 deliveries, I think Rinku Singh will probably be quite pleased to be at the non-strikers.
Yeah, well, a little bit of movement there. As we mentioned, the new kookaburra. Swinging early. Again, as a left-armer, conventionally, most left-handers actually bowl in-swing to the right-handers, but this is something a little bit different, trying to push it away to the slip cordon.
To Rinku once more. Pardon me, that's Vijay Gautam facing first ball up, of course, Singh off strike. And this is a lovely start from Hamad Warak. Come a bit close. Warak in again, continuing this excellent first over. That's a good shot for naught. And there is nothing more frustrating as an opener. Vijay Gautam still yet to score. Warak in again. And that is a good shot that he won't get naught for this time. Right in front of our commentary box position, Amar Khalid with the fielding. Plenty of chatter out there on the stop mics of encouragement from the SG Findorff boys, and so they should be. Wordak in once more. Oh, that's a lovely piece of bowling. End of the over, just 2 off the first one. And this is really smart stuff from the German champions. Ahmed Wordak with that left arm over angle. Every single ball just on the outside edge of the tram lines. This is really good. SG Findorff with a bit of a point to prove after getting mauled by the Italian side, JJ Brescia, at the back end of yesterday. They were the last team to get going in the ECL. Had to wait until the 6th game of the competition to play, and when they did, they found themselves at the mercy of Mohamed Jalil. Second over to start from the Las Lomas end of the ground, away from us. Vijay Gautam to face.
Well done, boys. Keep it down, boys. Come on.
St. Petersburg Lions really struggling. 3 without loss. And they could have lost their first wicket. They certainly have. A brilliant start for SG Findorff, and they've got the wicket their efforts deserve.
Come on, boys. Come on, boys.
Vijay Gautam has to walk. No DRS in the ECL. Iftikhar Khan with a lovely piece of bowling. Well, there you go. That looks like the classic missing off, missing leg, and hitting middle halfway up. Based on that first replay, I'm not sure he can have too many complaints. Right, so St. Petersburg Lions in a bit of early trouble. And in a T10 game, you don't have long to turn it round. Number 9, Gaurav Bhatti, comes around. Normally, when you think of the most popular sport in Europe, football, it's the number 9, he's your gun man. And big shout, and not given. Could have been on a hat-trick if Iftikhar Khan. Making things happen early here, the German champions. A lovely first over of the innings, and then backed up by Khan in this second. Khan and Wordak working in combination. Maybe just a judge to be going down the leg side. Looked very close from our commentary position. Khan into Gautam. And that is very streaky. First boundary of the innings. More luck than judgment. Brilliant first over from Khan. What have we got next? Catch it! Down the leg side. And it is called a brutal game, this, for bowlers. Anything ever so slightly down the leg side will be called a wide. Slightly more margin for error on the offside, of course. If you're new to cricket, maybe wondering what we mean when we use those terms. To keep it really simple, the leg side is the side where conventionally the batsman's legs tend to be standing. Once more, straight back. And the offside tends to be the area where the the bat is conventionally placed. And I say conventionally because in T10 cricket you see all sorts of different shots. When the batsman is in their normal stance, that's a reasonable enough guide to things. But anyone who watches international cricket these days will know you've got some players who are arguably almost as good as they are one way round as they are the other, with the reverse sweeps, switch hits, pulls, all sorts. Finishes it off nicely. Really good start this from SG Findorff. A point to prove after a bit of a mauling in the final game of yesterday. Fighting to stay in the tournament. And this is smart work in the power play, just 10 for 1 off 2. Third over, and it was a chance for a second wicket for SG Findorff. Hamid Wardak has seen his partner get into the wicket party, and he's so nearly joined him here, Ryan.
Yeah, well, it's been a good start, obviously, from the bowling side. And LBW in that last over, the second one was very, very close.
Wardak in once more. And he's really getting it to talk with this left arm across angle.
It's nice shape, isn't it? Continues to swing. And it's been an impressive start.
It's a very traditional left arm over way of doing things. Gets slightly wide on the crease. Pushes it across the right-hand batsman.
Well, I guess the only thing I haven't seen, as I mentioned before, is one that's swing back in, which is the traditional left-handers wicket dismissal, mode of dismissals.
And Hamid Wardak is really making this ball talk. You can see why they've kept him on and used his full allocation, given how good his first over was.
Yeah, it looks like he's the sort of guy that wants to make full use of the new ball. That seam absolutely bolt upright, which is fantastic. Which also, we see now the wicketkeeper coming up to the stumps, backing himself to keep the batsman in his crease.
Hamid Wardak ready to charge him once more, but the keeper's come up to the stumps, and that's important. Traps the batsman in his crease.
Catch it!
Skewed outside edge, and the second wicket comes. It's of no surprise, SG Findorff are on fire here. Hamid Wardak gets his first to go with Khan's. And it's struggle street for St. Petersburg. They are in real trouble early on here.
Well, again, we've been speaking about the swing early on, going across the right-hand batsman. And I'll tell you what you can't do as a batsman, and that's trying to play across the swing. And if you have a close look at this replay, he's trying to hit that on the onside, playing against the swing. The odds aren't in your favour when that happens. And all he can do is skew it straight up in the air to cover, and they're not going to drop that. And it's a second wicket. St. Petersburg Lions need to dig in.
It's the Russian champions against the German champions. And just to reiterate, if you're unfamiliar with the situation in these groups, it's a must-win for both of these teams in Group B to stay alive. You can just about get through with 1 loss and 2 wins. But if you lose 2 games, then finished. It's over. Hamid Wardak in with the keeper up. Miscued start.
Given a little bit of width there. Wanted a piece of that over the offside. We have a deep point. And third man are the 2 men outside the circle. Of course, only allowed 2 men outside the ring in these first 3 overs of the power play.
And it's been one of the best power plays of the tournament in terms of bowling and fielding execution. Wadak into Gautam. And again, smart stuff from SG Findorff. Not a clean take from the keeper. You'll know from experience, though, just how difficult it is to stand up to that kind of bowling.
Oh, of course, it's you basically got your heart in your mouth at times, but look, you're doing it for a reason, and that reason is to keep the batter in his crease. A lot of time with swing bowling, batsmen like to bat down the crease to try and limit the amount of swing. But the wicket doing his best work for the bowler, giving him as much assistance as he can. Going to see third bowler used now that we're outside of the power play and fielding restrictions are released somewhat.
We've got some spin from the Las Lomas end of the ground as St. Petersburg Lions try and rebuild their innings. Akashdeep Singh facing. By down to short third man to get us started. That brings Vijay Gautam onto strike. Israr Khan with 14 on his back bowling. And again, swept away against the spin. And that's smart work again from SG Findorff, bowling to their field. 3 sweepers out on the leg side, 2 on the off, which has been the go-to way of doing things this week so far.
Yeah,
that's lovely stuff, sorry, just in the tram lines. Oh, and it has been given. It was pretty marginal. It seemed for a second like he got away with it. Israr Khan again.
Oh, great bowling,
beats him outside the off stump. Key part of the side that won the German Championship last year. 9 wickets at an average of just 11. Oh, but that's a full bunger. You can't bowl there. Akashdeep Singh hammers it away. And that will get St. Petersburg Lions finally going in the right direction.
Well, I'll tell you what's happened there. He's bowled 3 very good leg spinners, and then he thought, oh, look, let's try something different. I'm going to bowl my wrong one. Didn't come out of the hand very well, and it got deposited onto the bank.
Whoa, great bowling, great bowling.
That has not been wided. It was turning quite a fair bit.
Again, back to his leg spinner there.
Akashdeep faces up once more.
Oh.
Puts this into the gap. And they might get a 2, incredibly rare on this ground. Fielded by Farooq Amari, running around to his right-hand side, but off balance by the time he threw.
Pretty good over there from the young leg spinner, Khan. Obviously every T10, T20, 50 over competition, 4-day cricket, 5-day test matches. Best teams in world cricket generally have a leg spinner to go to. Quest to find a good one is often a tough process because it is a very tough art to learn. But if you find a goodie, you have to persist with them, especially young leg spinners. Like I say, it's a very tough skill to learn, and there's going to be some ups and downs, but you just got to keep them going.
He's certainly a guy to keep an eye on, though, Israr Khan. Anybody who's a leg spinner who bowls in a national T20 comp and goes for 5.7 runs and over has got something about them, and he offered a bit in that over. Farooq Amari now on from our end, that's a Cassius end. Disappointing start, not his best, and he'll want his Sunday best because the world is watching. You can catch us live on YouTube on ECN.cricket. Streamed all over the place, as well as on TV in more than 100 countries. It is a pleasure to have your company here at the Rachel Hayhoe Flint Oval. Quick single. And a direct hit could have been interesting. Enthusiastic stuff from Amari. We have discussed in the first day and a half or so of this tournament just how enthusiastic bowlers are to field when they are with the ball in hand.
Of course. Just quickly, speaking about young leg spinners, Catalonia's Hussain, the young 17-year-old leg spinner. Gee, I'm impressed with him. I like the look of him.
One of the players I'm probably the most excited about in this entire tournament. I make him to be the youngest player at the entire comp. Just down leg, Amari. And it's given us a wide. I speculate that might have been the classic, and it's someone that is a properly village cricketer. I can occasionally bring this perspective, and I've seen it plenty of times. The classic, I know he's nowhere near that, but if I appeal, the umpire might get distracted and forget he's got a signal.
Yeah, wide. It's a goodie. It happens everywhere.
But this is the ECL, and this is a slightly higher level where such umpires are not put off by such an idea. Singh facing up. Swing and a miss. What
I will say that obviously we didn't do the first game, but our first look at day 2 of the pitch, and it looks like a really good even bounce again. Look, if you have a close look at that, that's getting through to the wicket at a nice height. That's what we're after, a nice flat even pitch.
Farouk Amari continuing. And he's just not quite getting his angles right at the moment. Placement.
Went for a change up there.
He's normally so reliable. In the German T20 comp last year, he was one of their main wicket takers, 12 wickets, an average of 15, a strike rate of exactly on a runner ball. Can't complain about that, but he's only actually bowled 2 legitimate deliveries in this over so far. Down the ground from Singh. He'll get 1. Akashdeep Singh, a man with a particularly interesting story as to how he got here. Moved to Russia as a 15-year-old.
Is it another love story?
It's not a love story.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'm going to end up turning into a Taylor Swift album on repeat. But no, Akashdeep Singh moved to Russia 9 years ago. As he's back on strike now, Gautam takes the single. Moved to Russia 9 years ago, works in Moscow. He was asked to compare himself to, and he was very modest, unlike certain people who won't be named for now.
Corey Rutgers? What?
Corey Rutgers, Submarine come to mind. They know who they are. As Amari continues to Akashdeep Singh, very open stance. He's crunched this away, not really got hold of it, and he's plugged it perfectly into the gap. And having got lucky with the potential catch, he almost ran himself out as well, not his finest moment. But I was mentioning his modesty. He's asked to compare himself to that's an international cricketer. He says, everyone says I look like Yuvraj Singh, but I can't bat like him for sure. I had a lot of respect for the sheer level of total modesty. Amari in. And there was a bit of width there, but Gautam didn't capitalise.
So what is he saying? He's a good-looking rooster. Do we say, is Yuvraj a good-looking rider? We have to ask Sivash.
Maybe we do. I took it as the fact that he was.
Well, you're the expert on all matters, so.
I don't know what on earth's made you put me in the expert of whether Yuvraj Singh is your cup of tea.
Well, I'm just wondering if we're like for like.
I took it as modesty in that he was saying that I might look a little bit like Yuvraj, but I'm not going to claim to be a gun bat. But you've gone for an interesting other spin on.
I wondered if you might think Yuvraj's got a head like a half-eaten pasty. I don't know.
Leading to the card as next over started. That's when leg spinners are on. Akashdeep Singh could be run out here. It was Iftikhar Khan with the fielding. Just couldn't gather it cleanly though, Israr Khan, the leg spinner. Two openers going very early for St. Petersburg, only making 1 between them. But this partnership is starting to rebuild things. Israr Khan once more. Come on! And that dipped nicely. That is proper leg spin stuff.
I wonder if that was a chance. If we have a side-on view, I've got a feeling the back foot might have just slipped out of the crease.
Vijay Gautam struggling against Israr Khan.
Oh, great.
And that's nice again. That previous delivery, it was one of those classic leg spinners where the eyes light up. You think for a second it might be a low full toss, and it dips on him in a really beautiful way. Lures them in. And again, gets half a stop on this.
We put that down as a chance as well. Tough one. Tough one.
But he's a leg spinner, and at the moment he's going at just over a runner ball on a T10 ground with 50-metre boundaries, so he deserves a heck of a lot of credit here, Israr Khan. Cracked away, leg side, catching chance, and he does have his wicket. A really good spell from Israr Khan, the leggy. And now he's got what he deserves.
Yeah, it's a good piece of bowling. You just felt that with wickets, runs not coming, that the pressure was mounting and they wanted to clear a rope or two. And a good reward for effort for Ishran Khan.
Akashdeep Singh played himself in, but has to go for 11 off 10 balls. The first really big shot that he's attempted has cost him his wicket. Lovely dip and bounce. And just going back to Nadeem Hussain, for those new to cricket, if there's one particular type of bowler that can entice you into watching cricket, it's got to be a good leg spinner.
Oh yeah,
the
absolutely.
mystery of the wrist action and the dip and the turn and the spin and the googly. Let's hear his calm once more. Good start. The batsmen have crossed. Vijay Gautam on strike there, and we discussed that yesterday. I was pontificating on that in the later hours of the evening about the changing of strike, and I have to say I do find it a curious one that, you know, I was explaining this to an American friend who doesn't know cricket, and the first thing he said was, well, if the run doesn't count, then why should they
cross ends?
I think it's an interesting debate.
I really like the idea of the rule. If you're out, then the new batsman should face it. You shouldn't be rewarded by having the already in batsman suddenly facing next ball. So I'm just saying that I've heard a rumour with this new weirdo 100 ball competition that you English want to start. That may be one of the rules.
Bowling coming from the Las Acacias end of the ground. Amar Khalid is coming on, so we've got spin from both ends. 31-year-old all-rounder. Hits as many sixes as he does fours with the bat. And he's handy with the ball too. Here's Khalid beating him all ends up and a miss-stumping.
Well, I thought he might have missed one in the previous over. I'm definitely sure he missed one there, the old wick. Fakar Ahmed.
Easy for you to say. Fakar Ahmed.
It's probably easy. I wouldn't want to say that too quickly, though, would I?
This is true. This is true. We are a family broadcast, after all.
Especially with a few under my belt.
Yes, this is also true. Oh, that's another nice delivery. The spin is causing the Russians real problems here. Good work in the field as well. So just a bit of background on the second pair of these spin twins. Amar Khalid, the joker of the team, key all-rounder. He's offered a bit of width. And it looked initially like it should get punished. And after a bit of a mess, it is fielded. What do we make of the aesthetic from number 15, Farouk Amiri, fielding out on that boundary? Look at him there. He's tucked the shirt right in.
Trying to get the guns out, get a bit of sunshine, the Spanish sun.
Sun's out, truly guns out. Lead again, he goes down the ground, gets it all wrong though, and the spin is doing it for SG Findorff. Amar Khalid gets into the wicket party, joins Isra Khan there. And St. Petersburg Lions are in big trouble.
Yeah, again, I think I've said it way too often, that batsmen trying to just look at the onside only, really trying to hit across the line of the ball instead of playing nice and straight, trying to hit the side screen. If you have a close look here, he's trying to swing that away on the leg side. Only gets the leading outside part of the bat and no success at all.
What have we got next? Bit of a mess again, and once more we're seeing St. Petersburg struggle with the twirlers. Spin once again causing problems, and it's as streaky a boundary as we're going to see here across these 3 days at La Manga.
Well, to be fair, St. Petersburg Lions, 38 for 4 after the almost 7 overs. They'll take runs any way they can get them. And this one, again, a little wild hoik to the leg side, outside edge, down to the boundary.
It is that classic village green joke of it says 4 in the scorebook. And in years to come, that story will be retold and retold and retold.
Well, is that what you're going to be telling your kids, that you spend a couple of days with me?
Goodness gracious me. I'm not even going to justify that with a response. What I will say is it is that classic thing of the edge for 4 becomes in a few years' time, oh, mate, that was smoke through the covers. You know, it's that classic, you know, the Chinese whisper becomes the Chinese whisper, and 10 years later, it's a whole different thing. So, Las Lomas end of the ground. Changing the bowling. Iftikhar Khan is on. Good stop as well. Again, bowlers fielding off their own bowling.
Well,
and it's funny how the standards rise.
Yeah, and to add to what you were just saying, that's I think that's with the advent of T20 cricket, you see so many players now, you know, getting hoiked away with a loose ball, getting caught in the boundary. I bet you those wickets will end up saying, oh yeah, what about the day I knocked over Virat Kohli?
That's it! This is very wide, and they say swing hard, and he's got the reward for it. St. Petersburg lines trying to get up to something defendable, and Vijay Gautam has stayed there. He hasn't necessarily scored quickly, but one way or the other, he has a boundary here.
Yeah, third man up inside the circle. And being rewarded. To be fair, it was quite wide. It was an opportunity to throw the hands out. Gautam, it's really important now that he probably faces most of these last 2 overs.
He's got to motor now, Vijay Gautam. But instead, there's an LB shout against him. Going down leg, directed, he's gone. Oh, that is just lovely stuff. Or maybe not.
We're coming upstairs.
We are going up. We've had some called on field this week that haven't even used the replay facilities we've got available, but we are having a second look. So a lot happened here. Well, let's try and take you through it from the start. It was a quick single that all went horribly wrong. And that's where it ends. Well, even from the naked eye, I said, that's got to be gone. Well, he was cruising because he thought that the fielder was going to throw at the wicket-keeper's end and not his end, and then all of a sudden he thought, oh gee, I'm in trouble here, I've got to scamper, and it's way too late. It's a big wicket. Just as we said, he was the man to face most of these final deliveries. He's on his way through a bit of poor running. He's gone for 18 off 23 balls. It is Azid Dawadzi with the fantastic work out in the field. And that is a real killer when you've got particularly a T10 format. If you're going to eat up a fair bit of delivery, striking it in and around or even just under a runner ball, you've got to then accelerate. We saw it with Maxo Dowd, I think so. He was going at around a runner ball for his first 15 deliveries, and then he literally hit 7 consecutive boundaries, and the strike rate catches up with itself. When you hit the go button, it's time to go. It was a vital wicket, that's for sure. Now, St. Petersburg trying to get towards even a half century. Alexander Vasilev, the keeper, has got himself off the dreaded duck. Do remember as well that if you want to tweet us directly as a commentary team, ask us anything about some of the topics we've been discussing, particularly leg spin, which to those new to cricket might be an art of real interest. Feel free to give us a tweet. It's good again from Iftikhar Khan. You can catch me on @ThisIsMcCann, MCCANN. This is McCann, and you are on Cambo_19. But yeah, any particular questions about what we're seeing, or the ECL, or the format, or anything in between with current cricket across the world? We'll do our best to get on air and answer. Inside out, straight to cover. Lalit is gone, and the wickets are tumbling here. More smart work from SG Findorff. Iftikhar Khan has his second. Nice and full. Trying to bowl it as full as possible, looking for that Yorker zone. And at the moment, the St. Petersburg Lions batsmen are trying to swing hard and heavy, but aren't managing to hit over or through the infield. Lalit, he's on his way, which is, unfortunately, it's pretty good bowling. It's right up there in the slot. And he's doing a pretty good job, as has all of these SG Findorff bowlers. And these SG Findorff bowling figures at this rate are going to be an absolute treat to look at if you are a lover of German cricket. I'm sure there's plenty of them watching. Of course, it was German Cricket TV that eventually, across the last couple of years, as a concept and an idea of building up European cricket, that evolved into the ECL. Rashid Mohammed comes out to bat. The 46-year-old, one of the most senior men at this competition. There's 3 or 4 who are slightly older than him, but he is very much one of the pensioners of the ECL, if you're being harsh. Farouk Amiri into him, and that's a decent hit, straight down the throat though, and he gets away with it. Lukman Ahmed with the dropped catch. It is a rare blemish on what has been such an impressive fielding and bowling performance.
Yeah, it was hit hard and flat, but he made good ground. Get the hands up, get it forward, nice soft hands, and a little bit hard at it. Disappointment on the face of the bowler.
And this is the difficulty for, even in this short format, the St. Petersburg Lions to try and build a score when you're constantly losing wickets. Amiri in. Cross him. An unconvincing single. One of those that in the village game always sees the striker as he's running down towards the umpire, who's often his teammate at that level of cricket, doing the old pointing at the bat.
I hit it. I hit it.
And you just know that it's slightly coincidental, because let's say it was taken edge, it would be the other way around. Straight down the ground, decent enough hit this, but fielded by Iftikhar Khan. And this is very good, disciplined work from SG Findorff. They had a lot of time yesterday to sit around and wait and probably maybe get nervous watching 5 other teams play. I do have a source in the camp who was telling me that they were watching very closely the bowling and fielding strategies of other sides, and they've clearly taken that on board. Whoa! Lovely stuff again from Amiri at the death. And they've put it into practice. They've had their plans, and it didn't work last night against JJ Brescia from Italy. They came up against 2 batsmen in the form of their lives. But today against St. Petersburg, it is a different story. In comes Amiri. And middle stump is cartwheeling. Beautiful stuff from Farouk Amiri. And Rashid Mohammad's short and unsuccessful vigil ends pretty emphatically.
Yeah, middle stump knocking out of the ground, the old death rattle. Horrible sound if you're a batsman. Joy to the ears of every fast bowler.
One does suspect, though, that as soon as he missed it with a swing like that on that line, he must have... And that's almost the worst. It's the split second between the missing it and the knowing. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious me. And every club cricketer or village cricketer watching across the world will know that feeling. Zabiullah Akbar comes out, not wearing a helmet, which I must say is a bit of a surprise.
Or a hat, got the shag out.
He's got the hair out, and there's plenty of it on offer to show. Plenty of rental space for any sponsors.
Whoa,
Played that first one well enough, just picked the man out. St. Petersburg Lions have limped to 50, but based on what we've seen, they're not going to be getting too many more.
1 over to go. See if they maybe a streaky little outside edge for 4 or something, just to get a little bit of momentum going into their bowling innings. It's been hard work though. As you can see, they're constant wickets. Every time just a little partnership formed, they'd lose a wicket, which would stop them.
The one mini partnership they had was Vijay Gautam and Akashdeep Singh for that 3rd wicket. And just as they'd rebuilt, and even though the run rate wasn't great, they then needed a big over to kick them on. They then both got out and it tumbled again. And in that moment, the chances of St. Petersburg Lions setting a really defendable total severely diminished, unless we get a quite extraordinary last over, which we've got 50-metre boundaries. Anything is possible. What's he in? Decent enough shot from Vasilev. Gets 1. And that brings Akbar onto strike. St. Petersburg Lions, a team with an interesting backstory. They won the Russian T20 to get here, but just a day after that incredible World Cup final between England and New Zealand, the Russian Sports Ministry sent out a very interesting memo. It's a swing and a miss from Akbar.
Good slow ball.
So literally the Monday after that incredible game, the Russian Sports Ministry memo said that it officially refused to recognise cricket the second biggest sport in the world behind football as a sport. Various other sports, including some mixed martial arts, were denied status as a sport too. As that is Akbar hitting it down the ground for one. St. Petersburg Lions trying to get something to defend. And that gives you an insight into where cricket in Europe has still got a long way to go.
Yeah.
And hopefully the ECL gives that platform for things to develop and improve. Dawodsy once more, knocked him over. Vasilev gone. Dawodsy in as a specialist gun-deaf bowler to bowl this last over, and he's doing his job very nicely.
Well, back of the hand, leg spinner, slow ball that absolutely bamboozled the batsman. If we have a look at the replay, I'm sure you'll see it out of the back of the hand, which is a ball that came about, as you can see there, that you can see the back of his hand. Players like Ian Harvey from Australia were absolute guns at that sort of delivery. Steve Waugh was probably the first.
Yeah, Ian Harvey from memory, almost a T20 all-rounder in the era where T20 wasn't really around. He was so far ahead of his time.
The freak.
Alex Dar in, content to take a single from the first ball.
Actually, just caught up with Ian Harvey, assistant coach at Gloucestershire, and still just a masterful mind of the game. An interesting guy just to talk cricket about. It's brilliant.
And if memory serves me correctly, had a lot of years as a county player at Gloucestershire, played with Yorkshire as well, I'm going to say.
I was lucky enough to go to the Australian Cricket Academy with Harves. Spent a year with him.
Once more, beats Akbar. This is really smart stuff from SG Findorff. And that is the end of a brilliant 10 overs. One of the SG Findorff players just said over the stunk mic, that's the way. Brilliant bowling, brilliant fielding. And they have summed it up in 7 words or so, about as well as either of us, I think, possibly could. Another good slow ball to end from Aziz Dawodsy, the man from Afghanistan. Moved to Europe and Germany as a student. Key player for them last year. 21 wickets more than anyone else in the German T20 comp for them. Economy rate of under a run a ball when he would always be their go-to death bowler, and we've seen those skills executed there.
Well, again, it's another good story, isn't it? And that's what we found about the whole European Cricket League, is that there's so many stories inside the stories. And, you know, some of these players getting opportunities, like you said, the Russian government doesn't even recognise cricket in Russia, yet here we are, we have a team. They play somehow, they find space, they play the game. You know, again, in Germany, so many Afghanistani refugees wanting to play the game. It's a brilliant story in Germany. I think they've gone from 40 clubs to 400 or something in the last 2 years. Magnificent.
But where we have stuff like that, I think the brilliant thing is there's also stories like, and we saw him earlier on, and I was very excited to see him, and in a way I was almost disappointed it wasn't on commentary for him, was Pavel Vlorin. A 40-year-old guy who's a professional bodyguard, as we see the St. Petersburg batting card, apart from Gautam and Singh really struggling to make much of an impression. 54 to win should, bar something extraordinary, be relatively simple for SG Findorff. You see a story like that? A guy who 6 years ago didn't know what cricket was, starts playing the game, he ends up being president of the club, the first Romanian to play on this stage in the European Cricket League, and he gets his chance to shine in front of the world.
Mate,
it's extraordinary.
He's all over Twitter at the moment. Is he, what's the word? Trending?
Oh, well, I absolutely love it, honestly. Speaking as someone that bowls part-time rubbish leg breaks where people joke about pulling the pin on the grenade, I'm going to show them a bit of Pavel Vlorin and say, look.
Hashtag moonball.
This guy's, it's the Jeremy Snape, the moonball. Anyway, let's have a quick gander at these SG Findorff figures and give them the credit they deserve. Hamid Wardak, wow, 1 for 3 off 2 overs. But it's hard to pick someone out too much because they were all so impressive. Dawodsy with the final over of the innings, conceding just 3. Khan, both the Khans, Iftikhar and Israr, are excellent. The spin twins of Israr Khan and Farouk Amari were good. It was as good an all-round bowling performance as we've seen, really. We can have a look at those first innings highlights. I'll make for brilliant watching if you're a fan of German cricket in particular. SG Findorff restricting St. Petersburg to 53 for 8.
Well, that LBW decision was a pretty simple one for the umpire. Cannoning into middle stump. bowled good full length, tried to make the most, as we saw. This left arm swing bowler, he was good early.
Catch it!
Wardock bowling across the batsman, trying to swing it to the slip cordon, and basically when batsmen trying to play it across the line to him, they were in all sorts of bother. That was probably the worst ball of the innings, and it was dealt with. Khan, who bowled absolutely beautifully, that was the one blight on his whole bowling performance. And as you can see, it was continued. Wickets just fell at regular intervals. No real meaningful partnership could be formed. As it almost appeared as the Russian team tried to hit the ball harder and harder, it got worse and worse.
And this is what we've seen across this week. It's been the players that have looked to time it and then let the 50-metre boundaries do the work for them almost that have had the most success.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it doesn't matter whatever competition you're playing. If you just keep your shape, try the timing. That was a big run out there. And as we can see, continually trying to hit the ball hard, not getting much results for their efforts.
Well, only 2 batsmen made it into double figures.
Again, the old death rattle, bowling stump to stump. You miss, I'll hit.
So just to come back to you, because we've got the brilliant work of the man to my right-hand side, Alex McCarrick from Opta, referring to him, only 2 batsmen faced more than 6 deliveries in that innings. And when you think of that, it's easy to understand why they struggle. The target is just 54 to win for SG Findorff. And they need to not just win, but they need to win this comfortably to get their net run rate back up to have a realistic chance of qualifying for the semi-finals. Of course, top 4 in this competition in both pools, Group A and Group B, and the top 2 go through to the semi-finals. So when we come back, it will be that run chase. But for now, I've been Michael McCann, it's been Ryan Campbell next to me. But stay with us here on ECN.cricket, because the run chase is coming shortly. Welcome back to the Manga Club Resort. It is a pleasure to have your company. I'm Michael McCann, and alongside me for the second innings, we've managed to give Ryan Campbell a break. Should we call it diplomatically? But no, joking aside, it is an absolute pleasure to instead have with me Chief Executive of German Cricket. I believe his desk actually just says the boss.
Not really. It was until a couple of months ago it was my spare room, but now we have an office and a headquarters in Germany.
Brian Mantle, as I live and breathe, it is great to have you with us. This 11, tell us something we don't already know about them.
Well, I don't know what you know about them, to be honest, but they're a hard-hitting team, I think. I mean, I think T10 or T20 is perfect for them. Last year they had a fantastic season. They won our T20 tournament, so they beat another 200 teams to actually become the German T20 champion. And in our 50-over tournament, the Bundesliga, they got to the final and lost out in a very high-scoring game against a team from the Frankfurt region called Mörfelden. And in that game, they scored 350 and still lost. So they score a lot of runs. They're a very good batting team, big hitters. Didn't really come off yesterday, but today, hopefully, they'll win their 2 games and qualify for the semi-finals.
As for the bowling side, trying to defend 53 off 10 overs with 50-metre boundaries, which is, goodness me, the most thankless of thankless tasks. The St. Petersburg Lions, who are on the verge of elimination. They were beaten by the Catalunya Tigers, mauled by the Catalunya Tigers. They didn't even get half of Catalunya's total in match 1, and now they've only put up a meekly 53, which I know, of course, you're biased, but can you see any situation where that would be enough?
Quick wickets, I think that's the only possibility. But it's going to be tough. It looks like Hamid Vardak is going to open the batting. Hamid's a German national team player, a very orthodox batsman. He's not the biggest hitter in the team. Gets a lot of his runs in 1s and 2s and 3s. He's very quick between the wickets. And a sensible player, so I don't think he's going to come in and just hit the ball for 6 or try and hit the ball for 6 and get caught on the boundary. And it'll be a sensible reply, I think, from Findorff.
St. Petersburg Lions out to field then in their brown and yellow kits, guided by our partners New Balance. We're grateful for all the different people that have come together to make this ECL possible. The staff behind the scenes who've worked incredibly hard. I've had the privilege of being here at the Manga Club Resort and the Rachel Hey-Ho Flint Oval for the last week or so, and just watching the transformation for this ground from a ground that is essentially some cricket pitches in the middle and 2 football pitches, to see all of the LED boards and the marquees and the ECL logo being here, there and everywhere. Television guys getting in to all make it happen, and the stage is set for these boys to shine. SG Findorff They not only need to win here, but they probably need to win comfortably to get that net one rate back up, because it took a bit of a hammering against Brescia.
And you talked about the kits. The SK Findorff kit is absolutely gorgeous, isn't it?
Pardon me, I'm so excited, forgot to turn my Michael. That reminds me of one of the things I'm most excited about in this tournament, which I want to get people tweeting in on. I think it's a hot topic. What is the best looking kit of these 8 kits? Because in various club cricket WhatsApp groups I'm in, there is huge arguments going on about which kit is the best looking. Huge, huge arguments. I suppose it depends on your colour preferences. And as for now, we will also focus on the action. Hamid Wardak, as promised by our expert, is out to open the batting. He will face the first ball from the Las Lomas end of the ground to be bowled by Lalit. Right arm pacement. And he needs something of a miracle. We need a power play realistically with 2 or 3 wickets in it. You do often see in T20 that once a team loses 2 or 3 wickets in the power play, the odds of them winning the game drop significantly. So, we are in that power play, as I mentioned. There seems to be some confusion over the field. At the moment, it's a 6-3 offside field, which is maybe tactical, looking to invite Wardak to swing across the line. The men are out at short third man and short fine leg. Lalit has got a bit of pace to offer. The countdown's on. Lalit into work. Good start. And if they are going to defend 53, which would be nothing short of sensational, they'll need more like that, Brian Mansell.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think Hamid will go very patiently and sensibly, like he usually does. Look to take lots of 1s and 2s.
Wardak, by the modern standards of hitting, quite a conservative batsman. Lalit in. And Wardak's gone. Big early scalp for the St. Petersburg Lions. Lalit strikes. And SG Findorff's go-to bat, Hamid Wardak, is back in the pavilion. The marquee, I should say. Well bowled, just sliding across him, gets the outside edge. And look at what it means to Lalit. With the world watching, he delivers in the very first over.
Looks like Israr Khan is coming into bat. It's an interesting decision. I think he's more of a bowler than a batsman, but we'll see.
Well, I've got in my notes that he can do a fair bit of both. He's gun leg spinner and then impressive with the bat too, Israr Khan. He's facing Lalit, a fired up Lalit from the Las Lomas end. If Israr Khan is half as impressive with the bat as he was with his leggies, then we're in for a treat. Flipped away. And he would have been nervous there.
Israel's been in and around the national team. He hasn't made his debut yet, but he's certainly, you know, up there in the thoughts of our national trainer Stephen Knox.
Just worked away into the gap, but I'm not sure he meant it to go that aerial. Yes! More conventional along the ground, a bit too close to the fielder for comfort, but they scamper through, and so much of cricket is about that scampering between the wickets. For those new to this competition and new to the game, then welcome to the beautiful game of cricket. That statement is not meant as a dig at football lovers, because someone that enjoys both sports, one for the summer, one for the winter. Dawadzi facing now. Another single, ticking along nicely enough. And that's sort of the vision of founder Dan Weston. And I'm interested to get your take on this, Brian, in terms of the Champions League of European cricket, giving Europeans a bat and ball sport for the summer when football isn't around because of course, it's a winter game.
Well, everywhere's got a bat and ball sport in the summer. The US have got it with baseball, Commonwealth countries with cricket. Why not Germany and Italy? Great shot.
It's a lovely piece of batting. Isra Khan gets his innings up and running, his first boundary. SG Findorff looking to recover from an early loss, 6 for 1 after the first over.
Yeah, coming back to what you were saying about this and what the ECL can do for German cricket and European cricket. I mean, we know and we're aware that we're at the start of a development. The immigration from cricket-playing countries into European countries has been huge over the last few years. And just in the same way that the British brought cricket to India and the Indians brought cricket and the Pakistanis to Afghanistan and so on, it's the Asians who are going to bring cricket to Germany and Europe. So this gives us the opportunity to set a platform for the next few years, to develop cricket, to get more public relations. It's an interesting phase in our development.
Just to come back to one point earlier, we promised you that if you send us a tweet in and it's not anything inappropriate, then we'll read it out and get you involved. Dan Beswick has sent me a message. Good shout on the rule regarding the players crossing after a catch. Not sure how you can reward a batting team with a set player on strike when a run isn't scored. And that's exactly what myself and Ryan Campbell during that first innings were discussing. Daniel Beswick, you did an excellent in-depth interview with Dan Weston, the ECL founder, before this tournament, of almost an hour in duration, a fascinating chat about the teams, the concept, the 2 years of planning and preparation it's taken to just get to this point. As we have from our end of the ground, Aman Saxena coming in. Right arm over with his wobbly mediums. And he just starts with them a little too wobbly. But coming back to that overall concept, what is this evolution of German cricket TV and then into this ECL done for German cricket? Try and put it into words.
Well, the number of people playing cricket has just grown every year, 20-25% over the last 4 or 5 years. But we were playing amongst ourselves. We weren't aware of what was happening in other parts of Germany. Germany is a big country, and it brought people together. It gave people a platform to show their skills. It made cricket more interesting for the people playing it.
What an absolute mess that was. And I think the umpires in the end decided that he's seen enough and he's going to rearrange the furniture and get on with it.
Yeah.
But in those situations, you almost wouldn't blame them for leaning too much on the third umpire. But I think it's important that umpires still feel like when they see something, they call it out in the middle if they're short. And based on that evidence, it was pretty short. Confirmation there, they need just 47 from 53 balls. But that's only half the battle as Saxena into Dawadzi. Wide outside the off stump. Aziz Dawadzi, one of the stories of this competition. He bowled that last over, the death over. He's someone that I'm told from sources in the camp relishes that role within the team.
He's a lovely guy. He used to be our under-19 national team captain, a bowler who's become a batsman. A lovely guy, very disciplined, came to Germany as a refugee. I think now he's settled in Germany. A very, very big hitter when he gets going.
Well, he can't hit that,
no,
because it's yet to be bowled. Aziz Dawadzi, a guy to really keep an eye on, scored 61 against the MCC in 2017. And then bettered that a year later with a superb knock in the Bundesliga. Dawadzi facing now. And that's just the right side of the tramline. Aziz Dawadzi then went on to hit 101 not out in the Bundesliga semi-final in 2018. And that was what got them into the final.
I was there.
Ultimately brought them into the... Well, tell us about that knock.
He just hit the ball to all sides of the ground. He needed a little bit of time to get in, I think, like he's doing today. But then he sees the ball like a baseball. He's a big, big hitter. He's a very fit guy as well, with big muscles and great player.
Saxena into Dawadzi. Strangled LBW appeal, not given.
What also needs to be mentioned here is obviously, like in most of the countries taking part in the ECL, the players don't play on turf. They're playing on AstroTurf nearly all of the time. So playing on turf is a big challenge for them. The ball, moves and behaves completely differently. And it's taking them, and I think a lot of the other teams as well, a little bit of time to get used to that. But it's a great development thing.
And that's an excellent point to make, because if you're watching on very much the other side of the world, on ECN.cricket or some of our TV partners, the likes of Sky New Zealand or Fox Sports Australia, then that might seem an alien concept as gets it all wrong coming down the pitch. Unlucky for Saxena. Dawadzi fortunate. You might be watching in Australia or New Zealand or parts of those core cricket-playing countries thinking that almost sounds bizarre because there's cricket pitches here, there and everywhere. But for some of these players, this is one of their first experiences of playing on a grass wicket with a lush grass outfield. Just give us a sense of that difference of conditions. How different are we talking in terms of outfield and pitch?
I think the outfield is actually the bigger issue than the actual pitch, because if you play your shots here, it will go to the boundary. But on some of the pitches that we play on in Europe, because there isn't yet this cricket culture, you know, the ball can go down a rabbit hole or it can get caught up in the grass. And it's something that all of the countries here are trying to improve. And playing on grounds like this shows the players and the clubs what's possible. It gives them maybe the inspiration to go back home and invest in their own facilities and to improve them.
It is fantastic to have you with us, Brian Mantle, the Chief Executive of German Cricket. If you have got any questions for him, please do give us a tweet. I'll make sure to put them to him while he's up in the box with us. Dawadzi facing. Guided straight to the man though. Decent shot for naught. You can tweet me on @ThisIsMcCann. Just this is, and then MCCANN. Adrian Pickles has been trying to do that and has unfortunately missed the final N off the word, so is quite hilariously given a bit of ribbing to Ryan Campbell, my co-commentator. Said you could have let us know there's another bloke with a similar handle. I've sent this guy from the US 20 cricket tweets. # never seen the game. So unfortunately, I think some poor guy's been peppered on his social media feed because of one letter being missed. But Adrian Pickles at Aussie_Pickles, please do feel free, now you have got me, to get anything in that you might have to say about German cricket or anybody else, because it's a fascinating emerging market that arguably is the unofficial home of the ECL because of the way things have emerged. Here's Laddie. They'll get at least one, they might get 4. Oh, that is brilliant. Brilliant boundary fielding, Aman Saxena.
One more.
He had Dinesh Lalwani there, but he did it all himself. This was smart work. Proper body on the line stuff. Flicked around the corner by Isra Khan. And look at Saxena here. He's coming into shot. The flying Saxena makes all the difference. If you're going to defend a low target, you need miracles like that. Isra Khan only gets it straight to the man, fielded by Rinku Singh. And you know, I don't think it's any secret to say who you prefer to win this game. Are you, as an SG Findorff sort of supporter, getting a little bit nervous yet?
Well, when I'm in Germany, I'm neutral, of course. And, you know, we've got 350 teams, I think 150 clubs, and they're all as important to me as each other. But this week, I'm definitely an SG Findorff fan.
Sneak through for a single.
I'd like to come back to a question you mentioned about Daniel Weston and his inspiration for the ECL. I think the stage that we're at in our development as an associate country with big plans and big ideas, you know, we need people who've got a vision. We need people who've got dreams and investment, of course. And an idea like this is going to bring us a long way.
Facing, he's got very fortunate here. Saxena will field, streaky outside edge, and just while we're on the note, of course, plenty of people may be watching in Germany unfamiliar with what I mean when I say outside edge, for example. So it is literally as simple as what we're about to see now. Bowler's come in, and rather than going on the middle of the bat, it's gone on the outside edge, and if it was the other way around, it would be the inside edge. As simple as that, and you don't want to be hitting it there ideally, but he's got away with it on that occasion. Cleaner this time from Khan. Excellent this time from Isra Khan. That's what he can do with the bat. Average of more than 40 in T20 cricket last year as Findorff won the German Championship. And that's what he can do when he gets it out the middle.
We're actually having a discussion within the board at the German Cricket Federation at the moment about the cricketing terms and whether we use the English terms or whether we translate them into German. Obviously, it's very difficult to translate words like hook shot or third man or silly mid-on into another language. So I think we're agreeing on the fact that we're going to keep with the German terms. It's very difficult.
You mean keep with the English terms?
The German, yes, the English terms, I should say. The heat is getting to me.
Flicked around the corner, fielded by Saxena to keep it to 1. Don't worry, you'll... and it is actually 2, pardon me, because it's been wided. I thought it got a little flick off the bat, apparently not. So, well, we're sticking with a bit of tuition as we're going. So a wide ball is a delivery that is as simple as that. 2 wide for the batsman to hit, determined by the umpire. And that means an extra run to the batting team. And if they run any further runs on top, those are added to the total as well. Lalique standing up now. Only picks out point.
And talking about the umpires, this is also an opportunity for us to give our umpires and our scorers and everybody who's involved in German cricket the opportunity to develop themselves, to take part in a professional tournament, to learn from each other. So, you know, the German umpire I was speaking to him yesterday evening about how he is learning from the Dutch umpires, obviously umpiring at a very high level. It's a wonderful development possibility.
And we said that if you tweeted something that was, for once, compared to some of the stuff you see on Twitter, relatively appropriate, then we'd read it out. Well, at Mr. D Daily has got in touch. He said, why is this only 10 overs? I've just turned on, ... Weather issues or format? Format is the short answer. Good sir, it is 17 T10 games, packed into 3 days. And to give you a really simple answer, you look at the dominant sport in Europe, it's football. We have one team that bats for approximately 45 minutes, and then we have a 15-minute break, and another team bats for approximately 45 minutes. Now, I wonder where Europeans have heard that kind of a format before, and so, as far as I understand from Dan Weston, the founder, the man with the vision, that is broadly the reason why we are playing T10.
I think the main thing is to do something different, to profile ourselves, not just like every other tournament that's taking place around the world.
Aman Saxena once more. Big swing, absolutely no ding. Ishra Khan going fishing. That is the kind of one that on the village green you see people saying things like strike 1, all this kind of nonsense.
Agricultural, I think is the word.
Yeah, agricultural hoik, all this sort of... I mean, often it is that kind of nonsense chat where, as much as trying to put off the batsman, you're just trying to keep yourself concentrating. But we're at a high level of cricket here where we're slightly beyond that. And then Saxena, straight down the ground, much cleaner hit. This will take some fielding, and it was just misfielded by Gaurav Bhatti. So difficult. It would have been a brilliant stop from him right in front of us. He got the dive in, he got 2 hands to it, but like a goalkeeper, while we stick on the football analogies, palmed it round the posts.
The other reason why T10 is important is it's very difficult to sell the concept of long cricket games to people who don't know anything about cricket. So even T20 sometimes, which can last 3.5 hours, is for German people a very, very long game.
Absolutely.
So T10 is over in around the same time as a football game, or maybe a little bit shorter.
Saxena in. No single there.
And that means it's easier for Germans to understand. Obviously, a big part of the ECL and what we're trying to do in Germany and other countries is to sell our sport to indigenous Germans. And obviously, being on TV is the first part of that.
SG Findorff 20 for 1. Slightly struggling in this run chase. Outside edge from Khan. That gets them 4 more. Certainly didn't mean it though. But they've got to motor here because there's 2 parts to this chase here for SG Findorff, as you know. And as I'm sure our viewers are aware, having followed the tournament through, it's not just about winning this game. They've got to win it comfortably because in the nicest possible way, they got thumped by JJ Brescia from Italy. So even if they win their next 2 games, it comes down to net run rate. And they've got to get that net run rate back up. So if they chase this target in 8 or 9 overs as opposed to 5 or 6, it could come back to bite them. Saxena again. Khan will get 1. At the moment, they're well on top of the rate, and it seems difficult to imagine they won't win the game, Brian, but they've got to get on with it, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I hope they're aware of that, and I hope it's something that they've actually discussed rather than just thinking 2 victories will get them through. So they have to play Catalunya later today, don't they? And if they win that, they'll have 2 victories. Catalunya have already lost 1, I think, against Brescia. So that would mean that Catalunya would only have 1 victory and St. Petersburg would be out. So possibly 2 victories is actually enough from a mathematical perspective.
Just to confirm, in terms of what happened last night, SG Findorff only putting 97 for 5 on the board, but the run chase was particularly extraordinary. JJ Brescia chased it in just 5.5 overs, and Mohamed Jaffrey struck 59 off just 17 with just the 8 sixes, which is more than I think some club cricketers hit in a lifetime, really.
It's more than I've ever hit in my lifetime.
Hit 1 or 2 and let everyone know about it. But as for what's going on out in the field, Ishraq Khan is settling into life with the bat just as well as he was with the ball. He's one of the players I was most excited to see at this year's ECL. And later on, we'll get the battle of the leg spinners, Ishraq Khan and Nadeem Hussain from Catalunya, which will be fascinating to see. Dawadzi facing. Oh, that's a clean strike. The shot of the innings by a distance. Aziz Dawadzi showing his long levers for us all to see.
Did you see the catch that he took yesterday in the game against Brescia? He took it out there at Cow Corner. It was probably, without a doubt, the best catch of the day yesterday. Unbelievable, world-class catch.
And that's what we're seeing at this year's European Cricket League, these stars being given a chance to shine. Single this time for Dawadzi. So we've had a tweet in from Trimac Manawa, I think I've got that right, at @list_Stave, who said he's not a fan of the St. Petersburg strip in terms of his favourite shirt. Entitled to his opinion, of course. On a more positive sense, it'd be really good to get a debate going about which one we think is the most aesthetically pleasing. I'm hearing Svanholm and Brescia as the 2 that keep coming up in particular. Brescia with the shades of blue, Svanholm with the red and the yellow. As we jump back to the live action.
I don't think it's a contest, to be honest. I would say definitely Findorff. I think it's a lovely kit.
Do you reckon you're at all biased there as the German cricket chief executive, Brian Mantle?
Possibly, but I still think the green and the purple goes very well together.
If it happened to have a Brescia badge on it, do you think you might have it?
Oh, I wouldn't like it then.
There we go. There we go. 6 free offside field. 2 sweepers out on the leg, 2 on the off. And Khan finds the gap at square leg. The umpire, Mohammed Adnan, has to duck. And I think SG Findorff is starting to get into their rhythm, and they're also starting to realise that they've got to get on with this. Time is very much of the essence.
It's a little bit hotter today than yesterday, isn't it, don't you think?
There seems to be a lot less wind than there was, and it's the wind that provides a cooling breeze. And I spoke to a couple of teams who told me yesterday they were adjusting their tactics based on the wind because it was so strong from one side of the ground to the other. Today, there is no such help from Mother Nature. Missed by Khan. Bit messy from the keeper, so will be a bye. To fill you in on the cricketing terminology, to keep it really simple, a bye is when it's a legitimate delivery missed by the batsman, and it tends to happen when a keeper behind the stumps makes a fumble, isn't credited to the batsman, goes down as extras. And coming back to that regarding cricketing terms, one thing I do like about cricket is you go anywhere in the world. I've had the privilege of being to India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and whilst languages might be different, as soon as everybody talks about cricket, everybody knows what a pull shot is. Everybody knows how's that. Everybody knows first slip. Everybody knows gully. And you can almost have a conversation with someone where, you know, I had the privilege of being in Sri Lanka covering the England-Sri Lanka Test Series last November, and you'll talk to people, they'll have, you know, I only speak English fluently, and they will speak Hindi or Urdu, etc., or German, but everyone has that cricketing language.
And it brings people together. Different religions, different languages, different nationalities. That is basically what European cricket is all about as well. You know, you can learn a lot about people who you wouldn't normally come into contact with. religion and race and colour of the skin just isn't an issue.
Doesn't matter.
No.
Doesn't matter at all. Only 12 runs to win from the last 5 overs, but SG Findorff have got to get on with this. Akashdeep Singh might have a wicket with his first ball. He juggles it and drops it. I think he lost it in the sun. He looks up. He hasn't got his cap on, of course, because he's bowling. And you have to feel for him. That was an absolute skyer. And it's gone straight up. And you could see him losing it in the sun. He had 2 bites at the cherry as well. And Dawadzi now has seen something distracting him because the field is still moving. 6-3 field, which is what the St. Petersburg Lions have opted as for their default. It's interesting, most teams have gone for a 5-4. Straight down the ground, lovely piece of batting. Aziz Dawadzi knows that Findorff need to get this wrapped up quickly.
This is typical for Aziz, you know, he usually, as I said, takes a few balls to get his eye in and then he hits the ball very, very sweetly.
Akashdeep Singh in once more. Stance, and he's caught behind, I believe. Eventually given, the finger of doom goes up, and Aziz Dawadzi has to walk off. Well, he says that he plays in a style similar to Virat Kohli, which is as confident a statement as I've seen in any of the player profiles for this tournament, but didn't fully get going until one glorious shot down the ground.
I think a lot of people think they bat like Virat Kohli, don't they? I mean, when I was younger, I thought I batted like Ian Botham, but I don't think that was the reality.
So we have had a tweet on the team jerseys, as we see that dismissal again. This was a good take, and we don't have Ryan Campbell up here because you're on co-coms, but I'm sure as a former Australia wicketkeeper batsman, Ryan Campbell would appreciate the work there. Standing up to the stumps, a really difficult skill in this game, and taken very nicely by the St. Petersburg wicketkeeper. Standing up to the stumps. Anil Singh, he was a late replacement in this tournament for an injury, but he's shown what he can do on the world stage. And we did promise that any sort of social media interaction, we would give you a shout out. Jim Congdon, I believe I'm getting that right, at Wanderera Rams, says, are the European cricket team shirts available for sale? From what I understand, there are some, but they are only available at the ground here at the Manga Club Resort. Akashdeep Singh, Findorff trying to finish it off.
Catch it.
And they've headed towards the lower part of our commentary position. I paused there because I was worrying about having to duck, but it wasn't quite high enough to trouble us. Quite a way of stating his intent from the new batsman, Amar Khalid. First ball, bang. Swing and miss.
1 to win, yeah?
I think it should be pointed out as well, because I'm sure some people with cricket badges will be watching and interested. As nice as that piece of wicket keeping was from Anil Singh, he is, pardon me, wearing short-sleeved shirt. We'll try that again in a second. Akashdeep Singh swung away, and that will be that. SG Findorff get themselves the win. Amar Khalid finishes it in style. 6.6 for Khalid. And SG Findorff have won. We've now got to go to the stats boffins to find out just what it all means in terms of net run rate. But they've got themselves a deserved victory. They've dominated this game from start to finish. The only point I was going to make about Anil Singh was as a wicketkeeper, he was wearing a short-sleeved shirt, which is seen as a cardinal sin by many, but in fairness to him, he did take the one catch he needed to take very nicely indeed. So the handshake's completed then. Brian Mantle next to me, beaming in delight as SG Findorff win this game comfortably with plenty of time to spare, 4 overs to be precise.
I'm beaming in delight because I'm sitting next to you, commentating on cricket for the first time in my life. It's a wonderful experience. And I think Findorff have probably balanced out their net run rate, or very nearly, by that victory. So if net run rate is an issue, I think they've done themselves a power of good.
Jake Goodison has got in touch. He said this is a great advert for cricket, fast-paced, batsmen chasing scores, quality watching. That's Very kind of you to say so, Jake, and we're all very excited to be bringing it to you. And Henry LF Lee, watching live from Canada. As a big fan of Germany, I didn't know Germany was a big mover to ECL19. Some big batting and cool bowling. I look forward to watching cricket next time I'm back home in Germany.
Well, tell him to get in contact with us.
And that's exactly what this does, doesn't it? It gets those people who love their cricket thinking, well, actually, I'm in Europe. I can get involved.
Yeah.
You know, where before maybe they thought, well, I'm in a country that's not traditionally known for being a cricketing powerhouse. You know, there's nothing much going on, but there's no excuse now.
I moved to Germany 25 years ago, and I lived there for 2 years before I even thought that there would be cricket. And then I found a club. Since then, we've developed it, and there's cricket everywhere in Germany. So every city, every region, if you want to play cricket or go and watch cricket or get involved as an umpire or a scorer, there's an opportunity everywhere. And it's the same also in the other countries. It's not just Germany.
Absolutely. Pick up a bat, pick up a ball, join a club wherever you are across Europe. The European Cricket League have invested more than 100,000 euros into the development of cricket clubs and federations across Europe. And as importantly, I said that sarcastically, at Lenfield29, Len has got in touch saying, this lime green is fetching, but I like brighter. Local team up here called the Angry Rays has similar with fluoro orange instead of blue. So that is on the incredibly important topic, which we need to get sorted by the end of this tournament. Who's got the best aesthetic looking strip, as well as the cricket?
I think you should put a poll on your Twitter feed.
Yeah, the only issue is, and I need to have a look at this, I don't think you can actually do an 18 poll on Twitter. But please do get in touch. I'm on @ThisIsMcCann. This is, and then MCCANN. Any tweets that are usable that we can get involved on commentary, we certainly will. It is an absolute pleasure to have you all with us. We're on in more than 100 countries across the world and live on ECN.cricket. And now we're going live to pitch side.
All right, joining me now is the man of the match, Ishraq Khan. Great performance, also by the ball and with the bat.
Thank you, really. Thank you very much. That we were already prepared for that. After the first loss, we had to do something. We have to change, and we put up our strategy, and we put up a game like we all sat together, and we planned for it. We executed it. Yeah. That's how we did it, yeah.
Yeah, because your captain also said that you want to make sure that this time you don't repeat the mistakes from the last time around. So what were the lessons from the last time that you learned, and what exactly changed? It was such a great performance this time.
Yep, I agree with that, but it was just like a different situation and condition for us. We never played like on such conditions, and like especially the pitch. We always play on Astro pitches, so it is completely different situation for all the guys. But they put up their effort. We all planned up together, learned from our mistake, and we put it on in the show, and we did it, yeah.
But great performance by the spinners. I mean, the spinners really coming to the party this time around.
Yeah. That's how we always go with it. Like spin, me, myself, and Amar especially. We always go with the combination, and we always, when we go for it and we get it, we win it, yeah.
Well, congratulations. Wish you all the best. And if I can also invite the captain, the winning captain, a completely different game from yesterday. So great lessons learned.
Exactly. That was the turning point. From the yesterday game, we learned a lot. We discussed all together. We played as a team, and that's worked out. So that was the plan. Simple.
And of course, the bowling was top class, but even the fielding, nobody you could see was taking a breath at all. Everybody was throwing themselves at the ball.
Exactly. Boys were motivated, and that's why we just, according to the situation, we just worked out. That was our simple plan.
Yeah, because you spoke about the conditions during the toss, and you said you would have liked to bowl anyway. So what exactly can you tell us about the conditions? How is it? Because the game before that, the team scored 160 plus, and then you come around and put up such a great bowling performance.
Yeah, and the important thing was in the bowling, to keep on the line and length. So from yesterday we learned. So that's why we tried to restrict the other team to make it pressure on. So we did it. All bowlers did fantastic job. What kind of 6 balls they have, we give it, and they did their own work. So that's a simple homework for them.
And also you took 2 wickets. Can you talk us through those 2 wickets?
Yeah, that today my line and length is worked out. So today it's a good start for me. And yeah, I hope so for the second match as well.
Well, I wish you all the very best. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you. All right, guys, that was Iftikhar Khan, the winning captain, and it's now over to you guys.
Thank you very much, Shavashi. Just a few more people we've got in touch. Doug Sheehan is watching from Scotland. And in regard to Brian Mantle, Luan Dreadslice has got in touch saying, just let Brian know that we appreciate everything that he has done for German cricket over the past couple of years. Gotta love Brian. He's now very embarrassed next to me.
Very embarrassed.
Very kind compliment. A very British thing.
It's not just me. There's a lot of people doing an incredible amount of work in Germany, from the board all the way down to all the volunteers.
And it's just like the ECL, really. It's, you know, the founder is Dan Weston, but behind that is this incredible logistics and structures, and far too many people for us to name now. Alluding back to the game we've just seen, Isra Khan with a very nice composed innings, then Amar Khalid going bang, dot, bang, 6.6, finishing things off. And I think he got the message when he walked out that this needs to be over quickly, because depending on the permutations, it could well come down to net run rate. We've had Slowpoke who's got in touch saying he's just tuned into the ECL on Fox Sports in Australia. Tuesday night sorted, which is kind of him to say so. Pat Silcox enjoying a bit of banter at the wicket as we get people in touch from all across the world, and this is what they were looking at. The St. Petersburg bowlers trying to defend an incredibly modest total, but Lalit and Saxena, the openers, impressed.
Yeah, very, very good, and some good fielding as well.
And then, in truth, defending 53 on this is always going to be incredibly difficult, because you only need really one big over, and then it can all get very, very tough. Pat Silcox has got in touch saying we would love to have a German team in Mildura for our Willowfest Carnival this December. For now, though, let's focus on this league table, because it's all starting to get one for the stats geeks. Findorff have got that net run rate back into the plus, which is huge because it took a battering when they were defeated comfortably by Brescia yesterday. To confirm what we've got left in this pool, it's Brescia versus St. Petersburg at 3 p.m. Central European time, match 4 of the day. Remember that we've just had match 2, and then it all finishes off with Findorff versus Catalunya. But for now, let's have a look at what we've just seen as SG Findorff comfortably defeated the St. Petersburg Lions. Just talk us through this run chase, Brian, and what you made of it watching as a German cricket expert.
Well, it was a very early wicket, a bit of a blow for Findorff to lose probably their strongest player, Hamid Vardak, in the first over. Then some sensible batting, not going at every ball for the first few overs, just to make sure that they reached the target. And then towards the end, making sure that the net run rate went up with some big hitting. So sensible batting by Isra, and specifically by Aziz Davotsi, our former under-19 captain. Some big, strong hitting, and a very dominant performance, I think. That's a wonderful shot there.
It never really seemed in any doubt that they were going to win this game. The question was how quickly. And eventually, I think the message maybe started to filter through, and the run rate picked up because they realised they had to go for it.
I think it helped batting second. I think most of the games have gone to the team batting second so far. I think in T10 it's a big advantage. I think they struggled yesterday batting first. And obviously chasing a low total was something they never really had a problem with.
Good catch standing up to the stumps from Anil Singh, although it should be said that our founder Dan Weston would be disgusted by the fact that as a wicketkeeper he was in short-sleeved shirts. Dan Weston is actually up with me in the commentary box, and he's just turned to me and said that he thought that the wicketkeeper Anil Singh looked okay in his short-sleeved shirt. So it shows you that cricket really can change, doesn't it? T10, of course, changing the game in every way, including in the aesthetic sense. So that's what we saw. St. Petersburg put up 53 for 8. SG Findorff chased it relatively comfortably in truth. And before we go, with SG Findorff winning by 8 wickets, we'll just run you through another few people who've got in touch. Cam says that the Svanholm shirt has a definite Queensland 80s vibe about it. He's put the two side by side, and I can start to see what he means. We've got a few others who've kindly got in touch as well. Troy McMurray is saying that they're having a barbecue with a couple of mates and enjoying the game with a few beverages, shall we politely call it, which is nice to know that they're enjoying stuff. Mike Harding watching from Sydney saying loving it and enjoying the German team kit. So to all of you, there is Girth from GRTH from Longeren, Australia, says, what do we need to keep an eye on for the next match? That's an excellent question, good sir. The next match is Svanholm versus Cluj. It starts in about 20 minutes or so. We've got Phil and Vinna, other commentary paying to guide you through that one. Sok saying that Lalit and Saxena were excellent spearheads up front as the opening bowlers for Russia, which is exactly what we were just discussing. And When I Pour is watching from Sydney as well. So just a smattering of that on social. It gives you an idea of, and you can speak for the evolution of this, Brian Mansell. This is a truly global competition in terms of the reach.
It sounds like the half of Sydney is watching this game at the moment. Wonderful place, Sydney. I was there a couple of years ago when the Ashes was taking place. Some wonderful memories. So hello to everybody in Australia. It's incredible there's people on the other side of the world. I don't know what time it is in Sydney, probably late evening, watching a German cricket team playing against a Russian cricket team. Who'd have thought that? I mean, this is something that we just didn't dream about. Even 18 months ago, it was just something that would never happen. There was a European Cricket League about 20 years ago. Probably took place between the champions of the different countries, the French team, the German team, Belgian teams and whatever, but it was never anything like this. Yeah. So it's obviously an incredible development for what we are doing, what we're trying to achieve in Germany and in Europe, to give us the opportunity to present ourselves to people on the other side of the world, not just in Australia, in England as well. It's on free-to-air television in England, in the UK and other countries, in Germany also, over a TV app called Sport Deutschland, which is fantastic for us, and over 100 countries throughout the world. We're noticing on our Twitter feed how many people are getting involved and saying, well, I didn't know there was cricket in Germany. Where can I join a club? What can I do? Inviting us for tours or wanting to know if they can come to Munich to the Oktoberfest and play cricket and things like this.
And just give people an idea of how quickly this has grown and spiraled in terms of German cricket TV.
Well, I can tell you about Germany itself. Before Daniel and German Cricket TV came on, we had... about 8 years ago, when I became the chief executive, we had something like 70, 80 teams. We now have 350 teams. We're very strong in women's cricket, in youth cricket. We're growing at 25, 30% a year. And alongside this natural progression through immigration, by increasing our profile through television, through the internet, streaming of games, it just adds to what we've already been doing.
So we have had one tweet, which you might be able to help us with, even though it's not quite in your purview. Bill Quirk says, can you tell me about the rich history of Spanish cricket, specifically Catalunya CC, who we've already seen what they can do at this tournament, comfortably thrashed St. Petersburg in their first game, lost to JJ Brescia, having put 118 on the board and well in contention for the semi-finals.
Well, I'm not an expert on Spanish cricket. I know the people who run Spanish cricket, and they're also very progressive, and dynamic people trying to grow the game. My understanding is there's lots of English people living in Spain, people who've maybe retired here or got involved in property here who play the game. So there's a lot of English people here, whereas maybe in the other cricketing countries in Europe, there's a predominance of cricket players from the Asian countries. But they're also growing. Their national team is relatively successful. They're competitive on an international stage, in ICC tournaments.
What we can tell you for certain about the Catalunya side is that they earned the right to be here, of course, by being T20 champions, but they actually won the Catalan League, the 45-over league, and the T20 League in Spain last year. They won the treble, the closest thing that their footballing counterparts, say Barcelona, could get to their continental treble of the Copa del Rey, La Liga and the Champions League. So they really did earn the right to be here. And that game against Findorff is potentially a pardon me, easy for me to say, coughed at the wrong time, a semi-final playoff run.
Well, it looks like it's a winner-takes-all game, doesn't it? If we can presume that Brescia will win against St. Petersburg, and I know it's very difficult in T20 or
but
T10
you've got a team that's lost twice comfortably and a team that's won twice comfortably. Yeah. So it would be reasonable enough to think that Brescia and St. Petersburg is a win for the Italians, a probable win for the Italians. And then we've got Findorff versus Catalunya, which we've discussed the Findorff side in detail. As for the Catalans, you've got Nadim Hussain in particular, who I have been so excited to see, inspired by Shahid Afridi, nicknamed the Googly Master, and he'll be against Findorff's own leggy, Israr Khan.
Yeah, I think it's a 50-50 game.
I agree, and I think that's one of the highlights today, but there's plenty of highlights across today. So we're just signing off now, but just to run you through, because we promised if you get in touch, we'll give you a shout out. Just to run you through a few other people, Chris Pearce is watching in from Prague, massively hoping he'll be cheering on a Czech team rather than our German neighbours next year. We've got Matt Osprey as well, enjoying it from Glasgow, Scotland. Great to see a non-expat player playing for Cluj. He's, of course, referring to the bodyguard Pavel Florin, who's quite a star, and he says the presence of Dutch internationals, Edwards, O'Dowd and Seeler, make VOC Rotterdam the team to beat, which I think is a logic that plenty of people have applied. But don't forget, VOC Rotterdam finished today off in the final match, Game 6, 7 p.m. Central European time, against Svanholm, who yesterday themselves were very impressive.
Can I make a prediction?
Please do.
Svanholm will win. I know that's a strange one to make, but I really think Svanholm are a very good team.
I think Svanholm have got a great chance.
Yeah, I think they're a secret tip.
The only thing I think that could hurt Svanholm is that the Danish national captain, the Shah father and son combo, the father and son, and this isn't anything revelatory to say because they're not in the squad for this tournament because they haven't been able to get it. The father, who's the Danish captain, is injured, and the son is also out of this tournament as well due to work commitments, and that's two key players they don't have. But we saw yesterday with what they've got, they're still incredibly strong. But plenty of cricket to be played before then. The next game that's up is Svanholm versus Cluj. It starts at 1 p.m. Central European time. Wherever you're joining us from the world, thank you very much. ECN.cricket is your place, or on TV in more than 100 countries. But to keep it a bit more simple for you, if you don't know Central European time, it all gets going in about 15 minutes or so. But for now, I've been Michael McCann, and it's been Brian Mantle, the boss of German cricket, but joking aside, the chief executive of German cricket. Thank you so much for your time, Brian, and insight.
Thank you, it's been fun.
And it is goodbye for now, but very shortly, it will be Phil and Vin to take over for match number 3 from Group A, as Svanholm look to make it 2 wins from 2 against Cluj, who of course are all but out. Well, they are out unless something ridiculous happens because they've already suffered defeats to Rotterdam, Andrew. So for now, from me, Michael McCann, it's goodbye. Got you. Yeah. Yeah.